When coming to China, people often talk about language barriers. No, playing Powerball. Take into account that at least 30-40% of our customers are people who took a run with a random supplier after spending tens of thousands of dollars. They took a shot at the Powerball in China, hoping that they'd win. I like the thrill of a good bet as much as anybody. Having said that, I'm not much for craps. I'm not much for baccarat. I like games that aren't luck. I like putting in some research and making calculated bets, right? My games would be poker, Texas Hold'em, where I'm playing against a person and can increase the odds through skill. My game also would be betting on sports because I like sports. I'm not the type of guy to bet on Powerball, right? You can buy a Powerball ticket for $2 just about anywhere. It's extremely easy to play, requires no skill, but your odds of winning in the US Powerball are like 1 in 200, 300 million. All right, so why am I talking about the lottery? Well, it's extremely easy to find a supplier or a manufacturer in China. I'm not saying the chances of getting a good factory are 1 in 200 million. But you get my point. You know, a lot of people paint Chinese suppliers, Chinese factories as some shady, evil business enterprises. That's not the reality. Having said that, most of them are not equipped in a sense that will allow them to take your unique and originally designed and engineered product and manufacture it in a way and tailor it in a way that will make you and your end customers happy. Here's the thing though. They'll still take you on as a client. They'll still take you on and tell you yes, yes, yes. In fact, there's a link here to another video that we did talking about how suppliers in China will always say yes. They'll often turn into a yes machine. They just don't want to disappoint, right? They want the business, obviously, but they don't want you to be disappointed in them either. No matter how good their intentions are, though, that does not mean that it's good for your business. Take into account that at least 30-40% of our customers are people who took a run with a random supplier. They took a shot at the Powerball in China, hoping that they'd win, right? Hoping that they'd find a supplier that not only understood their demand, understood what they wanted to make, but could actually deliver a product that equaled those expectations. When people come to China, they often talk about these insurmountable language barriers. To me, it's not about the language, right? There's software translations that can help you basically get your point across. It's the business cultural barrier that makes things tough. What quality means for you and your product isn't as simple as speaking the right words, right? It's about understanding the concept. You can sit there and try to be as objective as possible explaining what you want out of your product. But the reality is that the conceptualization in building a product that helps you build a business can oftentimes be subjective. And when you factor in the cultural business barrier of working in China, sometimes those things can become insurmountable. Even if you can get across and everyone's on the same page, then what happens when there are problems? You're so far away, you can't check the product. People are trying to fix the problem so that nobody ever finds out about them, right? You'll often be the last one to even know that there is a problem. To wrap things up, finding a legit supplier or manufacturer in China is obviously a lot easier. You have a lot better odds than winning the Powerball at 1 in 2 or 300 million. There's no question about it. But how much time and money are you willing to spend if your odds are 1 in 10? 1 in 5? 1 in 2? What point do those odds make it worth it for you to spend all of that time and money in hopes that you found the right connection? As mentioned earlier, 30 or 40% of our clients come to us after spending tens of thousands of dollars playing Powerball, hoping that they can get a supplier that works, hoping that the supplier will actually be able to deliver on the product that they're trying to build. Why do they come to us? Because we're here on the ground, right? Business is still going to have problems. That's unavoidable. However, I would much prefer to make calculated risks on the ground. Comparing what I mentioned earlier with sports betting or Texas Hold'em, you at least have a say in the equation. You're not just closing your eyes and picking something at random. Being here, boots in the trenches, allows us to learn and experience what types of questions we need to be asking, how to physically audit the factories and make sure they are all that they are selling themselves as. Knowing what factory and what member of our supply chain has as their individual strengths and or weaknesses, right? Nobody is perfect. Everyone has both of those things. We know how to tell them no, and we know when they're telling us yes, what further questions we need to dig into to make sure that yes is actually based on substance. Once we're able to do all that, we can take any product from napkin sketch to prototyping to production to in your final customer's hands with ease without having to bet the farm and get a lucky break. Feel free to find our free guide on this topic in the description below. Reach out, sound off in the comments. Let us know if you have any questions. Till next time, peace.